Fernando Alonso took pole in one of the most dynamic qualifying sessions we've had, separating first to 10th by 8 seconds. Drivers getting the option tyres out very early, set some reasonably good times, but many of them struggling. Fernando Alonso and Sergio Davilo in second place were only separated by 5 thousandths of a second. Hello everyone and welcome to Davilo's Journey Week. We are here at Silverstone. It is a very wet race after a very interesting qualifying session which you would have seen in the pre-intro section. It was a very dynamic qualifying session. 8 seconds separated Fernando Alonso from Kimi Räikkönen. Basically what happened was we went into qualifying and it was a little bit dry, so everyone went out on option tyres. I went out last and Fernando Alonso went out first. Now, Alonso going out first meant he had the driest chance, and he went out and he had dry track and he had the best chance and he set the fastest lap. I was 8 tenths down on a track that was very damp, but I found pace through certain corners that other cars couldn't. They were slipping and sliding. I braked a little bit earlier, took different lines, and I found a time. Gutted to not be on pole, but second place is always fantastic to be on, especially with the start of the season we had. And we're going into 2 tracks that Sergio doesn't like at all, which is the Nürburgring and Hungary. So the Hungaroring and the Nürburgring, which are coming up, which is not nice. I don't like them tracks personally. It doesn't suit my driving style, so them 2 races will be very interesting and different. And in the German Grand Prix I made a little bit of a mistake with the setup, but you'll get to see that. But we are here on the grid, we're behind Fernando Alonso. Lewis Hamilton is in 3rd position. We'll be getting another Mercedes one too, but we are away, it doesn't matter. We're going through now, coming up to the first corner. We're going to go into rear brake mixture. Going to stick on standard fuel mixture at the moment. As we go into turn 1, we get a beautiful line compared to Fernando Alonso, taking the outside to the inside, where he tried to take the middle line just to defend us off, and we're up into 1st position. But Lewis Hamilton has dropped down positions, and I think he's down in 6th position, and Alonso and Massa make it a Ferrari 2-3. So last year's world champion Fernando Alonso and last year's constructors winners are right up there now, and maybe this could be the season, the point in the season where they can switch it around. Fernando Alonso always having a bit of a rivalry with Sergio after last season, him not being given an equal opportunity, finishing 2nd in the Drivers' Championship behind his teammate. We've got a replay now of the grid and how things went off. So you can see in the background there, Massa started in 4th, so it was a bit of a Ferrari Mercedes sandwich. Very nice. We get a good start off the line, but we go for the outer line, and you can see Fernando Alonso stuck in the middle trying to defend us off, to try and just have the dominance over the whole track. Sadly for him, that didn't work at all, and we just kept things going. Now coming through the Beggett's complex, we get a little bit of understeer through there, run off onto the grass, which gives Fernando Alonso a better drive compared to us, giving us a lot less grip. And on a track like this, you need to get a good exit out of that corner, otherwise cars will be right on your rear end. But on this occasion, Fernando Alonso goes around the outside of us. He looks for the move, but we defend him off very nicely and very neatly indeed. We could use a little bit more curves, but we held it off and we kept the position very nicely indeed. On lap 5 now, coming through, we keep that line very nicely, and Fernando Alonso's all over the back. If you look on the mini-map, you can see Alonso, he's right on our rear end, but Massa's dropped off a little bit, so it seems to be a little bit of a scrap going on. So it's a 2v2, and we go off again on the Beckett's complex there, giving Fernando Alonso a lot better drive out that corner. We go through where the DRS would usually be. Fernando Alonso gets a lot better run compared to lap 3. Now he's right on the outside of us. He's looking for the move. He's confident. He goes for it, but sadly for him, he doesn't seem to have the track. He didn't have the track position compared to Sergio, who seems to be on absolute fire at the moment. As you can see now on lap 6 we're on to at this point in time. Sergio needs to come into the pits if he wants to make the strategy work, because at the end of the race we're expecting to see a little bit of more dry conditions. So what you can expect is it will be for the last 8 or maybe 8 to 10 laps, there will be very confident conditions for the drivers who do better in the dry conditions. That's saying that though, it all depends on pit stops and who can get the best pit stop. Now, the worrying thing about pit stop when there's lots of cars behind you, will you stay out in your position? And Sergio with a 3.142 nice and easily stays in 1st position in the lead, but Lewis Hamilton and Felipe Massa will be staying out, so if they set some decent out laps, they may be decent in laps, they might even get the overcut on us, but we need to get a decent undercut. Fernando Alonso will be hoping to pull away from his teammate as well, but it's still intermediate weather conditions. We don't need to come into the pits and that's just how it goes. On lap 8 now, Sergio comes through and sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far, so he's finding some pace in these conditions, but will he be able to hold off his competitors in the Ferraris? Felipe Massa up into second position now, and Sergio just holding his own, and he needs to keep things going and just not drop off compared to the rest of the cars around him. As we come onto the hangar straight now, Sergio has Felipe Massa, and you can see Alonso's dropped off a little bit, so it's Massa versus Sergio now, and this is a battle of the second Ferrari drivers. Which of them is going to get the better run now? Massa making the same move Fernando did, but he can't get through. But out of the exit, he gets a little bit wide, Sergio, but holds him off, braking very early just to keep the car nice and stable, and has a little bit of a ride on the curb, but he holds things together now as we come through onto lap 10, the old turn 1. Felipe Massa right behind us. We're coming through, and we're just going to look for a nice line through there. We do extend a little bit, so we've got a lot of understeer. But we look behind, and Felipe Massa has gone off the track, and that puts Fernando Alonso in second, and Lewis Hamilton goes third, meaning the fans must be going mad. We got a nice replay on the back end, a 3D camera angle. There's a training car, and you can see Massa just doesn't get the breakdown, so he must have had a little bit of a lock up and just went straight on. That's put him down in 4th position. So horrible incident for Massa, battling for the lead, and now he's down in 4th position, quite a way off the pace. But the good news for the British fans is Lewis Hamilton's up into 3rd position, and he could even snatch a win with a 2-second gap separating only him and Sergio. Into the pits now, and Fernando's right on our rear end, and it looks to be another set of intermediates. Here we go, into the pits, behind the Lotus guys. What sort of time are we going to set? It is a 3 point something, I can't see the screen, 3.169, there we go, my screen froze for a little bit there, and we're out ahead of Fernando Alonso, so all's fair, all's good. And on lap 17 now we skip to next, and this is where things get really intense. As we come through turn 1, as we come through the last few sectors, I don't know, my screen's frozen again, I'm just going on now. But Lewis Hamilton, whatever happens, Lewis Hamilton overtakes Fernando Alonso and gets himself into second position. So for the British fans, this is a fantastic race. Lewis Hamilton really doing it for them and really pushing forward. Yeah, my screen froze, I didn't have a clue what happened there. It's back now, and we're coming through the old, this would be the old final corner, and we're coming through to the old start-finish straight, but Hamilton's up in the second. So some Mercedes 1-2 once again at this point in time, just like in Canada when things went really well, and Lewis Hamilton looking for him at the inside, and Sergio just holding it. As you can see, the track is also drying up very nicely at the moment, and people are probably going to start thinking about primes, and that's exactly what Sergio thinks of doing. On lap 18 we come through, and going through turn 1, Lewis Hamilton looking for a move again once more, and this lap could be the one. Sergio looking at the primes and thinking maybe they're tasty. Fernando Alonso slips past Lewis Hamilton there and gets himself back into second place, so the pole man back in second place and looking for that lead. On lap 18 though, Sergio decides the time is right to come in for a set of prime tyres. The track's dry enough, maybe not, maybe it's still intermediates, but right behind him Fernando Alonso will be following, and Lewis Hamilton, sadly for him, will have to go on for another lap. These track conditions might suit another lap, and they might give him the pace, and there might be some slippery conditions, and very greasy at the moment the track is, so maybe the primes won't work, but the primes will take him to the end of the race if they stick on options. That'd be stupid. And there in the pits, 4.5, Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Davilo held up by Fernando Alonso ahead, but if you look very carefully at the wall of the tyre, Fernando Alonso is on intermediate tyres, so he didn't have a drive-through, but what has happened is the team, a strategy once again, the Ferrari strategy doesn't work out for him, very realistic to the real Formula 1, and they're on intermediate tyres, so Sergio Davilo doesn't even need to overtake him, because he will definitely have to pit again. The conditions might be good for one lap, but it's a poor decision. Maybe they got the wrong tyres out, but out from under the blankets. We don't know. All that matters now is Sergio Davilo is up into a provisional first position now. We're coming through onto the next stage where Fernando Alonso obviously needing to pit because of the intermediate tyres, which is a poor decision from him, and this is another really good race. This season so far has been very interesting, and we're coming through now the hangar straight. We got DRS, and you can see we're just gaining and completely catching Fernando Alonso like he's not even there. Lewis Hamilton enters the pits alongside Felipe Massa, and he'll be coming into the pits right now, and we go in. You can just see we're chucking it into the corners compared to when we had intermediates on. These are the right tyres right now. It's a little bit greasy, but give it another lap, maybe two, and the conditions will be absolutely perfect. And Sergio Davilo not setting the fastest lap on his out lap, obviously, because you're not going to be able to, but you can see coming through to the first corner, Lewis Hamilton slops into second position nice and easily, and Sergio Davilo takes first position from him, and Massa Massa will obviously be pushed up to third position unless Sebastian Vettel sneaks his way into there. One man you can't find on the grid though is Mark Webber, the championship leader, who's not having the best of seasons at the moment. He needs to maybe upgrade his pace. We're coming through on lap 20 later on, and we are catching Max Chilton up, but we got Lewis Hamilton right on our rear gearbox, which means he is just right. What rear gearbox? That is fantastic F1 there, F1 knowledge. But coming through onto lap 21, and we set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix nice and easily, and we're still losing time to Lewis Hamilton. Sorry, is still gaining time. Perez is up into third position now, which is very, very interesting. And what you might have noticed coming through onto lap 20, that Jenson Button is up into fourth position. So Jenson Button, we could be on for a British 2-3 if Button can catch up. 7 tenths behind now is Lewis Hamilton. The British fans are going mental in the background, and it's just one of them races where they want their man to do it. Hamilton sets the fastest lap, 3 tenths up on our personal fastest, and he's really flying now. He's finding the pace, he's going for it, he's not giving up, he wants this is what he wants. This is the most important race win he can have all season. He doesn't want the others. It doesn't matter where you win, your home Grand Prix is the most important. Sergio over the moon if he ever wins, if he wins his Brazilian Grand Prix this season. It's the last race, it could be a championship decider, but all that matters now is that Sergio Davilo is pushing and just defending from Lewis Hamilton, who's right on his gearbox, looking for moves. He's trying for it. Sergio Davilo losing grip compared to his teammate, who is on the option tyre, who's a lot faster than him. He made the strategy work, and you can see on lap 25 now, we've got Guido van der Garde and Jules Bianchi. There's van der Garde, he's using curves. Didn't get DRS from him, but he's just saving a little bit of curves for the exit of the hangar straight now. Gets a little bit wide. This isn't good. It's going to compromise his exit, bringing Lewis Hamilton right into play. We're going to stay with them for the very last lap. It's a very interesting moment. Sergio Davilo or Lewis Hamilton, one of them's going to take it. Perez looks to have third. If you look on the mini-map, Jenson Button isn't going to catch up with him. It's a shame, but it's how the cookie crumbles. And McLaren's, who are having a very, very poor season, are altogether down in the bottom half of the championship standings in constructors and drivers, really need this boost. 15 and 12 points altogether, 27 points is really, really going to help them out. But Lewis Hamilton all over the gearbox of Sergio Davilo. He needs this, Lewis Hamilton. This is the thing that could turn his season around. They both had poor seasons. Neither of them have had fantastic seasons at all. Sergio's has just been a little bit better with the points because of the win in Canada, but either team, either way, the Mercedes are going to get a 1-2 from this race. Whoever takes it, I don't think they'd mind. I think the team personally would like to see Lewis Hamilton being his home Grand Prix, and the fans, everyone's against Sergio Davilo. He's a fan favourite, but everyone wants Lewis Hamilton in Britain at the moment to win. Many people who don't like Hamilton would be praying that Sergio Davilo takes a win. But Lewis Hamilton now, going through into the old turn 1, is he going to get it? No, he can't. Sergio Davilo holding his line, just extending a little bit, not all 4 wheels over the line, 16 seconds. To Sergio Perez now, coming through the Maggots and Beckett's complex. He gets that corner nicely. He's going to just lift off now and not press the brakes until then. The brakes now, gets a good exit, probably the best exit he's had all race. He's really finding it, he's digging deep, he's using his curves. For Lewis Hamilton, 7 tenths behind, he doesn't seem to be able to catch on. If you look on the mini-map, it's the first time you can actually see the yellow of Lewis Hamilton for quite a long time. Coming through out of the hangar straight, he gets a little bit of a corner cut, extends him wide, but he gets a nice exit. Unless he locks up terribly through here, he should have the win. He goes through, bit of a mistake through there. He turns, his axles aren't working as he would like, but he comes through the final corner, and Sergio Davilo has won the British Grand Prix. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is executed to perfection. After turn 1, he's very rarely been overtaken. Apart from pit stops, this has been the perfect race for him. It's just another great race, and he's finally turning his season around. 4 tenths behind. Jenson Button ended up being only 6 seconds behind his teammate. Very unlucky for him. Kimi Raikkonen 2 tenths down on him. Then you have 5 tenths gap to Hulkenberg in the Sauber, who are having a great season, and Massa ended up down there as well. Lewis Hamilton in 5th position in the Drivers' Championship, but Sergio Davilo closes in to only 30 points to Mark Webber and 10 points of Sebastian Vettel. The Drivers' Championship is most certainly on. There's 4 or 5 guys in there. I think it's Alonso, Davilo, Webber and Vettel who can take it. But guys, hopefully you will tune in for tomorrow's episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you have, smash that like button below, share it, do whatever you want, subscribe for more, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.